So that's the latest on the conflict. Now let's talk about the key players. What's at stake for them? And we're starting with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. He's been tested, and he will be tested in the coming days. His focus right now is on flushing out the terrorists. Earlier today, he spelled out what he wants. Nothing less than a win will suffice for Netanyahu at this point.
We are at war. In war, one needs to be level-headed. I call on all citizens of Israel to unite in order to achieve our highest goal, that is victory in the war.
Netanyahu is calling for unity here, and his call is getting traction. His political opponents and his rivals back him. Politicians from across party lines in Israel have issued statements of support. We've often told you about the fractured nature of Israeli politics. This country has seen 5 elections in 4 years. And in recent weeks, Israel seemed to be edging towards calling a 6th election. Netanyahu leads a precarious coalition. He's been dealing with internal divisions. His grip on power was being tested, first by the backlash against judicial reform and now by members of his cabinet. 4 days ago, he met with his national security minister. His name is Itamar Ben-Gvir. There were reports of a rift. Apparently, Ben-Gvir was unhappy. He was not invited for a key cabinet meeting. And what was discussed at this meeting? Iran, Israel's main rival and its biggest security concern. Now, Ben-Gvir's associates were taking aim at Prime Minister Netanyahu. They said the minister was snubbed intentionally. The winter session of the Knesset was coming up. The Knesset is Israel's parliament. The session was scheduled to begin from the 14th of October, so in about a week from now. And there were concerns. Could Netanyahu bank on Ben-Gvir for votes? So it was a politically fraught situation in Israel. But after today's attacks, all that speculation has evaporated. The political battles must take a backseat because Israel is at war. Netanyahu is on firmer footing, but he cannot fight this battle alone. The military is already on the streets. Reserves are being called up. What about the intelligence? On this front, the Prime Minister has been let down. His spy agency is the legendary Mossad. They're in hot water this time. Israel's borders have been breached. Barbed wires were taken apart. Rockets were flying in the air. There were terrorists on the streets. They're attacking military installations and taking hostages. Israel's defenses have been breached, and it seems Mossad had no clue that this was coming. Critics are calling this a massive intelligence failure. Tel Aviv has ordered an investigation, but don't expect answers anytime soon because officials say it could take years. So Israeli intelligence has some catching up to do. But Netanyahu's international allies are ready to step up. Through the day, they've issued statements of support. We begin with the United States of America. It has condemned the attack and promised support to Tel Aviv. A short while back, Netanyahu spoke with Joe Biden. The US president assured support to Israel. He said Washington stands behind Tel Aviv and supports its right to defend itself. What did Netanyahu tell US President Biden? Israel's military campaign will be prolonged and intense, and America seems ready to support that. The US Defense Secretary has also spoken. His name is Lloyd Austin. Austin is promising military supplies to Israel. He says Israel will have whatever it needs to defend itself. Now, besides the US, we've seen statements from various other countries, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, France, Egypt, Turkey, and the European Union. They've all condemned the attack. Russia, too, has called for restraint. Moscow says it is speaking to the Palestinians. And so is Egypt. Now, Egypt is an important regional player. In the past, Egypt has mediated in this conflict. Egypt has brokered ceasefires. The latest one was last year in the month of August. Israel had conducted airstrikes in Gaza. It had killed 49 people. Egypt had then intervened to end hostilities. And it might be looking to mediate this time too. Egypt's foreign ministry issued a statement today. It said Egypt is making, quote unquote, intensive contacts at all levels. But this time, brokering a truce might not be that easy. Iran has come out in support of Hamas. It has backed the attack on Israel. Iran has backed this attack. Iranian lawmakers met today at the parliament in Tehran, and they chanted slogans like "Death to Israel." The battle lines have been drawn. Netanyahu has strong support both at home and overseas. But a combative Hamas and an antagonistic Iran will certainly test his patience.